But in the mid-70s, his familiar world began to change dramatically. His wife, Susie, was a very good singer, and she began to perform in nightclubs.
Well, hello there, good old friend of mine.
I remember Warren sitting there looking extremely proud, and he'd sent her a lot of flowers and everything. He was very good about backing her on that.
The Buffetts celebrated their silver wedding anniversary in 1977. But that same year, Warren's world fell apart.
Susie decides that she wants a life of her own as well as a life as Mrs. Warren Buffett.
I think she just got to a point in her life where she needed some space, you know, a room of her own or whatever.
Susan decided to move to San Francisco.
That's pretty tough for him, particularly in the beginning. He would open a vein for Susie. After a couple of years, Astrid Manx moves in, who was a friend of Susie's, and more or less at Susie's suggestion, and that becomes, you know, that's the way he deals with it. But those are tough years for him.
Astrid became like a second wife to him, but he and Susie stayed married.
And amazingly enough, they were two people that could pull that off, you know. Most people couldn't, but they could and did.
There's no question that he was crazy about her.
If you knew Susie like I know Susie, oh, my gal.
And she was crazy about him. As life went on, it looked like a more unusual husband and wife relationship.
And soon there would be yet another important woman in Warren Buffett's life.
I'm Warren Buffett, chairman of Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated, which has a...
In the early 1980s, Warren Buffett was steadily adding to the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. And for a while, he had his eye on the Nebraska Furniture Mart. It was owned by 90-year-old Rose Blumpkin, better known in Omaha as Mrs. B.
Can they help you? Maybe what you're looking for, honey. Come on, I'll show you what it is. Got lots of bargains.
She was an immigrant from Russia, came to this country, had the courage to start her own business.
I think I got it right here.
By the 1980s, she's got her whole family, and she's got the single biggest furniture store in the United States.
Mrs. B ruled the store, barking orders and invective from her motorized golf cart.
Your all day is waiting. We don't do nothing. That's all they do is wait. We don't just look.
Never taking a day off, she worked 14 hours, 7 days a week, and was all business.
You got Perrick?
I need new.
Cost you $17.50.
She had the price tags of the furniture in her house, in case anybody who came by was interested. Now that's a salesperson.
I sell anything, I don't care.
This woman is like the sort of distilled epitome of the capitalist drive in one little tiny nutshell.
Thanks to Mrs. B's formula, which was sell cheap and tell the truth, the store had annual sales in the neighborhood of $150 million. And in 1983, Warren Buffett decided to buy her store.
Buffett walked in and he said, you know, it's my birthday, I'd like to buy your business. He says, well, you know, I'm ready to sell to you. How much? $60 million. She does not read or write English. The contract is one page. She makes a mark, gives her the check, the business is done.
Done on a handshake. No hostile takeover and no junk bond financing or selling off parts for greater profits. In a decade of corporate raids when greed was good and Madonna's Material Girl would become the symbol of the age, Warren Buffett's Material Girl was Mrs. B, and she continued to run the store and yell at her employees.
Find out. You don't have to say it. Find the spot.
The truth is she didn't give up the company. I mean, we are partners, and in most ways, she's the senior partner. She knows, she's forgotten more about the business than I'll ever know, so she's the boss.
So now the load at Berkshire must be borne by Mrs. B.
Warren Buffett loved Mrs. B and honored her at an Omaha Press Club event in 1987.
Mrs. B will save me. She'll just throw it others say.
In 15 months, he had made about as much money with Mrs. B as he had in 19 years with the ailing Berkshire Hathaway textile factory. It barely scraped by. But Buffett had kept it going until it threatened to become a financial drain on the holding company.
He was very reluctant to send the employees packing, and he was sensitive to being called the liquidator, you know, some Wall Street type who comes in, closes down the plant just to make a buck.
But to Buffett, the shareholders always came first, and in 1985, he reluctantly closed it down, leaving 400 jobless employees with bitter feelings. That same year, Buffett came to the aid of his good friend Tom Murphy of the media company Capital Cities. Murphy was about to buy ABC,